औज़ुबिल्लाहिमिनश्शैतानिर्रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। मैं मशकूर हूँ पीमा पाकिस्तान इस्लामिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन सिस्टर्स ख़वातीन विंग का कि उन्होंने मुझे आज दावत दी कि मैं मिल्क बैंक के हवाले से कुछ गुफ्तगू कर सकूँ। दिस इज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट दैट वी शुड हैव अ ब्रॉडर अंडरस्टैंडिंग of this subject, and I will start my discussion that why West has introduced this concept of milk bank or vet nursing. These are two different concepts, but goal was the same, and I'll explain inshallah, and I'll also explain the Shari perspective of this subject. In West, since they believe in studies on data and every child is precious, so they spend a lot of energy, they invest a lot of money in saving lives of their kids. As we know, even if I go 15-20 years back, the survival rate of premature babies was not as good as we see today. One of the findings they came up with, the West, was that if in premature babies we use breast milk, it reduces their mortality by 20%. If we use breast milk, it decreases the very severe disease that many newborn premature babies get, which is called NEC, necrotizing enterocolitis, which is a life-threatening condition for premature newborn babies. They can reduce NEC by 50%. The weight gain of child is much better on breast milk. The overall immunity of a child is much better on breast milk. Early discharge from the hospital is very promising when the child is on breast milk. Well-being and bonding and connection and stress level in the family of premature baby is much less when they are assured that their baby is going to get breast milk. So there is no doubt we have data to support that breast milk has made big improvement, big change, big progress when it comes to care of a premature babies. So after I said that, in West, one thing we have to understand, financially, they are in much better position. Education-wise, understanding of the situation, they are in much better position. I see in West, when this concept of milk bank came, government was not financing for most of the time. Rather, private insurance companies, private businesses and hospitals, they were funding for this project. And I have seen, because in West, one thing which I have noticed, they believe in research because they see their future in research on data. And I have seen private sectors, they invest on things you do not even expect any results in next 20 years. So they are investing in their future 50 years from now, 100 years from now. So that's a different mindset. Then they came up with one of the solution, because there are many complications if you borrow somebody else breast milk. So, and it's very costly to do the screening, to have an infrastructure, and also making sure the milk is safe when it reaches to a child. So that process, protocols is very expensive when it comes to how to deliver that breast milk. And because of this cooperation of hospitals, insurances and private companies, they were able to establish some system. Even after that, they have challenges. They still have challenges. One of the ideas they came up with is pasteurization. Pasteurizing the milk means they boil human milk at at the degree temperature of 144.5 degree. And the studies are that can kill most of the germs, most of the issues in human milk, while we can protect most of nutritional values of the milk. Yes, there is a loss of some vitamins and some loss of some other ingredient, but at large, breast milk is preserved with most of its qualities through the procedure of pasteurization. Now let's come and talk in Pakistan's perspective. Before I say anything else, one thing which I will say, when it comes to fiqh standing on this issue, you can debate. There are arguments on both sides. But when I did my own research, I came to this conclusion that if baby is drinking milk of somebody who is unknown, her milk will not develop this bonding and relationship of rada'at. For rada'at, there is a whole process involved. There is a consensus and consent of both families knowing each other. And it's a long-term commitment. It's not that today I will get milk of this woman and tomorrow I will get milk of that woman, and that will develop this concept of rada'at, whoever's milk I have consumed. So this understanding, our ulama, they have to really come up with the solutions relevant to the issues of ummah today. So we have to be more innovative. We have to be more creative when it comes to the issues of ummah today to find solutions according to the needs of today. You cannot just base on your fatwa based on the knowledge which is relevant more for the people of past. And fatwa is the very definition of fatwa is that you give opinion according to the time and place and situation of that particular question. So that's why fatwa of America may not apply the same fatwa in Pakistan. Pakistan has different situation. America has different situation. So fatwa always has its perspective that makes the fatwa valid, more relevant and more powerful. So, but of course, it's a gray zone. This is not an ideal situation. This should not be encouraged if we have other alternate, options. Why to waste our energy? Because as a ummah, the most important thing for any ummah is their time and their resources and their focus. So I will say things which can distract you most of the time, we should try to avoid those situations, but that's not absolute statement. Sometimes you have to tackle challenges. You have to handle the situation. You cannot avoid. You cannot just ignore or turn your back or close your eyes. So my suggestion is that whenever it comes to fatwa, it's not just a job of a alim deen. Especially when it comes to current issues of ummah, it should involve everybody, even the experts of that particular field with ulama, so they can understand the need and the situation and the perspective of the situation. My brothers and my sisters, respected doctors, when I said that we should try to avoid, gray zone, because, in Islam, the sanctity of home, the sanctity of this relationship of husband and wife, the sanctity of maskan is so much so because the whole society based on the transparency, sanctity, status of the family. Prosperity of society depends how pure this relationship is of husband and wife, how pure and beautiful this maskan is. So anything which can cause, which can shadow any doubt, any confusion on this very sacred, important relationship, we should try to avoid that. We should try to find, some other ways to handle the situation. So this should not be a norm of a society to go and play in gray zones. Rather, try to avoid, gray zones. One of the examples that I have read in the books of ahadith about Hazrat Uqba radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that when he got married, a lady came after the marriage and said, I have fed you my milk and I have fed milk to your wife as well. Even though they did not remember, Hazrat Uqba's family did not remember that has happened. Even though the family of his wife also didn't recall that relationship of Radat. But Hazrat Uqba goes to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and he asked him, this is the situation, we don't remember. But she is claiming. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, this marriage should not continue. This was the verdict of the Prophet, which comes in the books of ahadith. So Hazrat Uqba had to leave his wife and she had to remarry somewhere and he has to remarry somewhere else. So what I'm saying is that if we read our history, this is a sensitive area. But we should not reject this idea altogether. Rather, we should work and figure it out that benefits are on one hand, this sensitivity is on the other hand. What is the middle path? It may not be applicable that we should provide milk bank facility for every child or for everybody. Rather, if we have a selective patients, selective category of patients, selective group of patients that we can help and support, there is no reason in Sharia which can hold us back to look into those things and try to find, the solutions of the current situation of the Ummah, my respected brothers and my sisters. Of course, in Pakistan, we have many challenges. In West, it's very easy to make protocols and follow protocols and have accountability if something fails. But in Pakistan, to have protocols and make sure the milk does not become like a commercialized business, or to make sure that the hygiene of milk is well taken care of, it's a challenge in Pakistan because of the resources, because of the lack of education, because of understanding of the intensity if wrong milk gets to the patient. So those challenges of hygiene, distribution, poverty, corruption, those challenges are also there in Pakistan. So it's not just really a fiqhi issue. There are many other issues that we need to make sure we have some protocol in place. We have some policies in place that how we can handle those situations. There is another alternate which is available from the very old times, and that is vet nursing. Vet nursing is that you engage a woman who may not be the mom of the child, but she can come, you have some understanding, and she nurses the child. That was the very old concept when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was given to Bibi Halima radiyallahu ta'ala anha. So that concept should be encouraged in society, that if there are women, they are ready to volunteer or they are ready to give this opportunity to these premature babies, so that milk will be fresh. That milk, of course, there will be a screening process for the donor, but that might have a better relationship between the family, and you will identify who is the donor, who is taking care of the child. Because really, feeding milk is not really the whole spirit. Rather, spirit is if the child is attached to the breast of somebody. That attachment itself brings peace in that child. That closeness to somebody who is taking care of the child has long-term effect, has its own benefits for the one who is feeding and the one who is getting fed. So that really has a major role. Maybe many people have not studied that aspect, that if we can encourage vet nursing and we can find vet nurses and they can do breastfeeding, and of course this is something that we can promote, we can educate. So if I recap, my whole point here, there is a need, there is a proved benefit of breast milk for premature babies. Their weight, their overall growth, complications, hospital stay, all these benefits, well-being of the family, all these benefits have major role, major motivation in the West to introduce this concept of milk bank or vet nursing. That concept could be explored even in a Muslim society, and we should involve not only ulama to look at this fiqh issue, rather we should have experts as well to give their opinion that how we can find out, because we know breast milk is the best milk, there is no alternate. While we can encourage mothers to take care of their kids, and also in some situations there are mothers, they cannot do breastfeeding, they want to but they cannot for some reason. So in those situations, these kids who need breast milk should not be deprived from something which can have big impact in their life, my brothers and my sisters. So I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us wisdom, that when we evaluate issues of today, then we should have more open mind and open hearts. We should look all aspects of the situation before we reach to the conclusion. Of course, we don't want any fitna and division in the society, but this is a human nature, that for every new thing we resist. And it's a human nature, especially in Muslim countries, everything coming from West, we always feel like this has some negative, but not necessarily that everything is negative. My point is that everything should be checked on merit. Everything has its individual status, so should be evaluated, case by case, and see what is best option available in our country, in our given situation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.